Welcome to the Viking Mindset e-learning channel, where we'll discuss the nature of suffering and how we can prevent it using our boundary. With healthy boundaries, we have the tools to solve pretty much any problem we have, as well as to prevent suffering. I learned all this from Dr. Paul Dobransky's online seminar, Mind OS. If you can find it, it'll be the best money you've ever spent. Suffering is one of those common but vague words we use all the time, like saying, I'm really suffering over this or over that. But what exactly is suffering? Suffering has a very clear definition, and you can see it in most religions and philosophies, like Buddhism, for instance. Suffering is when we burn our emotional energy on the things we don't control. Burning your emotional energy on things you don't control is the essence of suffering. Remember, what's inside your boundary you have 100% control over. Your boundary is like an invisible fence all around you. Inside it are your rights, the things you control, and the things you're responsible for. What's outside your boundary you can't control psychologically, and this includes all sorts of things like the weather, the economy, the job, the boss, or other people who have boundaries of their own we don't control, nor should we seek to. For example, think about being stuck in rush hour traffic, and I've been guilty of this hundreds of times myself. When I'm stuck in traffic, sometimes I honk the horn, tailgate, or cuss at the cars next to me or in front of me. I get upset and clench my fist and all other kind of stuff. And doing all these things cost us energy. Have you ever clenched your fist over a relationship with a romantic partner? When you did, you were suffering. You were burning emotional energy on the uncontrollable. This is a crucial thing to understand. If you take nothing else away from this video, remember that learning to live in the present moment and noticing when you're burning energy on things you don't control is an incredibly valuable skill. Now, there's a simple tip-off that you're suffering, and that's anytime you use the word should, as in people should be nice. Suffering burns our emotional fuel rapidly and inefficiently, wasting energy that could be used to your advantage in other areas of your life. What's happening when you suffer is that you're suffering through what Dr. Paul Dobransky calls holes in your boundary. It's like your boundary is a tank of fuel, and your positive emotional energy or self-esteem is like the fuel. When you have a hole in your boundary through which you suffer, your positive emotional energy is just pouring out of you. Holes in your boundary are areas in your life where you have trouble saying no or hearing no. And I would encourage anyone watching this video to write down a couple of areas in your life where you suffer, where you burn your emotional energy on things you don't control. Where do you suffer? Defined as burning your emotional energy on things you don't and cannot control. These things that you wrote down that you suffer over represent holes in your boundary. You have a place where the invisible fence around your life has a gap in it, a place where you have difficulty saying no or hearing no or dealing with rejection. And we all have deficits in our boundaries, and I'm no exception. A lot of what we see when we learn about our boundaries is that old sayings actually get scientifically demonstrated. Have you ever had someone tell you you're pushing my buttons? Are there real buttons on someone? What are these buttons they're talking about? When you say you're pushing my buttons, it means someone has quick and easy access to all your internal resources. When your boundary has holes in it, your identity can also come into question, which is what we'll discuss in the next video.